Oracle Database as a Service, What's Next, or Open World Post Mortem. My name is Tricia Chamas, and I will be your moderator for today. If you have any technical questions regarding GoToWebinar, or really any questions at all, please let us know. The webinar today is brought to you thanks to our IOUG Cloud Computing SIG. I encourage you, if you're not a part of the community already, to join them. This is an opportune way to connect with others in the field over the shared interest. In this community, we post relevant blog articles and archive any of the webinars we have along with presentations. You can email us at IOUG to be added to the distribution list, or you can join the community, and I will send over the link to you in your chat so that you can do that. Back to today's event, our speakers are Kai Yu, Senior Principal Engineer, Oracle ACE Director, Enterprise Solutions Engineering at Dell; Charles Kim, Oracle ACE Director, also VMware vExpert and Founder and President of Viscosity. We have Steve Lemmy, who is the Director over at Oracle; Nitin Vengurlekar, CTO at Viscosity North America. And before I hand it over to Charles Kim, who is actually our cloud computing president, I just want to give one last reminder. If you have any questions during this webinar for our speakers here today, we assume that you all will. Please send them in the question chat box on your webinar toolbar, and our speakers will save some time at the end to get to your questions. So now, again, as I said, I'll turn it over to Charles Kim, the president of our Cloud Computing SIG. So when you're ready, please go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Tricia, for the great introduction. Hello, my name is Charles Kim, and today we're here to present to everybody all the new announcements and features that were announced at OpenWorld, specifically in the areas that relate to database as a service and infrastructure as a service. And so the areas that we'll cover mostly will touch databases, storage, network, and we're going to even go into the new offerings announced for big data as well. And the reason why we're focusing on those areas is because eventually, big data will be part of the whole cloud computing as well. And so there'll be a lot of integration between relational and Hadoop, in the future, so and currently as well. So without that, I'm going to continue on. Here are the members of the Cloud Computing SIG. Renee couldn't join us today, but he is a vital member of our Cloud Computing SIG. We also have Mike Gangler and Alfredo, who are our vendor liaison chairs and our content resource chair. And as you can see, that Mr. Steve Lemmy is our Oracle liaison. For those who have not registered for Collaborate 2006, this year the Cloud Computing SIG is preparing to do a deep dive into Oracle Cloud, and also there'll be a lot of hands-on labs on cloud computing, specifically for Oracle Cloud. My name is Charles Kim, and I'm an Oracle ACE Director, and the good news about today's presentation is that all of the non-Oracle presenters are ACE Directors, and we are really passionate about Oracle Cloud. And also we're also all authors and have published numerous books. And this is Kai Yu. Kai is a Senior Principal Engineer at Dell, also an ACE Director, co-author, and he has numerous achievements as well. Nitin Vengurlekar is the CTO at Viscosity North America, and he is the author of the Oracle ASM books with Oracle Press, and does a lot of best practice presentations on ASM and RAC. And Steve Lemmy is our director at Oracle, and he's the over global partner enablement, in charge of systems and cloud management. And Steve is also known in the industry and also a published author as well. And without any further ado, I will relinquish control to Steve.
Well, thank you, Charles, and thank you, everyone, for having me as a guest on today's call. The first thing I have to say is thank you to the Cloud SIG. Without you, we could not have had a successful session at Oracle OpenWorld. And for those who missed it, Charles and the Cloud SIG members did a live audience Q&A interaction on the subject matter of database as a service, session CON 3637 for those taking notes. And it was a very lively interaction. In fact, Charles even brought an air horn with him to the session so that we could have the panelists get through as many of the audience questions as possible. So thank you very much for doing that. And I think that Charles kind of sets the theme. I was a little surprised when you started off the call and said you're going to cover all the announcements and all of the features. I hope that people have the next 364 days to spend on the phone with you. Because in the 20 years I've been attending OpenWorld, the amount of announcements, the new technology made available, I can't fathom a single individual from a company being able to be at all the different venues and hear all of the sessions and all of the great information that was announced at OpenWorld. And so I think this is a great opportunity for your members of the IOUG and other user communities to kind of hear some different facets or perspectives from each of you on what your takeaways were that they would be able to come back and, of course, learn more. And there were a number of videos of the keynotes that have been recorded and are now available from Oracle.com. There was some coverage by theCUBE, and so there's a number of assets that I know some people are now starting to consume now that OpenWorld is over. And this slide, I think, Charles, you have up here kind of sets the theme as, there was just so many, great announcements. Now, I had been prepping myself for a particular announcement. And Charles, I think you might have that as a next slide. One about the Oracle Management Cloud. So this was one of the many announcements, and some people may have missed this one. And this one was kind of a new innovation at Oracle. Here offered under essentially a suite of offerings. The Oracle Management Cloud really means some new technology and opportunity that people can go into the cloud and start using. So instead of thinking about, the on-premise traditional software releases, this is essentially a new offering and set of services only available from the Oracle Cloud for particular activities. So just real quick in summary, the application performance monitoring service to help those developers and DevOps type people assure that they've got optimal performance essentially on their databases and related services as they're doing their test and dev in the cloud, and as they then want to bring that back on premise, ensuring that they've thoroughly done that and with the same technology that's being used on premise. The log analytics service, I can't tell you for how many years I've worked around side by side with system administrators and other administrators who awk, grep, Perl, doing all that coding, trying to find the little needles in the haystack and try to be aware of these anomalies. And so the log service launched for that. And then the IT analytics service, which brings together kind of some of the different insights and helps IT operations become actionable again with some analytics on top of that. And I was talking to some of the folks in the with backgrounds in the BI tools and the developer community, and they took a lot of interest in that as well. So that's just, in one particular session I attended on the Oracle Management Cloud, there were 3 separate services announced within it and barely the time to cover that information. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over because I know there were so many other things seen by committee members. I do, again, thank you, Charles and Cloud SIG, for the opportunity to share my insights as well.
Thanks, Steve. So we've got quite a few things to cover. We're going to start out talking about the storage cloud, some of the new announcements made there, as well as the network connectivity. We're going to talk about database cloud offerings, and then move on to big data cloud, then cover compute as well as the management cloud that Steve kind of mentioned earlier. So I'm going to start by talking about some of the Oracle storage cloud services. So think about this. I mean, just like an on-premise deployment of systems as a DBA or any kind of administrator, you need compute, you need storage, and network connectivity for your system and applications. That's no different in the cloud. So once you've got your compute allocated or provisioned, the next thing really to do is determine what kind of cloud, what kind of storage offering or kind of storage needs you have, right? So here we're going to discuss some of the Oracle Cloud storage offerings with some of the new announcements that are made as well. So starting out with, we're going to talk about a shared file storage. Again, we're going to talk about 3 different topics here. First is shared file storage, and this is your standard file NFS type storage allocation. So users can store data in Oracle Cloud and access it from either on premise, have a point of presence on your private network, private environment, or you can have NFS be mounted between your cloud VMs. So if all your deployment is in the cloud, then you can deploy this NFS shared file access between your cloud VMs. So essentially what this shared file storage is it provides file-based NFS v4 access to both object storage and archival storage tiers. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. But so essentially when you provision this shared file storage, you're basically deploying a cloud NFS NAS storage appliance. It's essentially a VM, right? So this VM gives you persistent NFS access. So that's shared file storage. The other new announcement that was made was archival storage. So archival storage is basically archival object store, or for those people in the storage world, we call it nearline storage. So archival storage essentially provides storage for application and workloads that require long-term retention at a really, really low cost. Think of this as a deep cloud archive, really suited for like infrequently accessed large-scale data sets. So if you have partition data that you can't throw away because of regulatory or governance requirements, and you don't necessarily want it on tier 1 storage, this is where you move this data off your on-premise, off your tier 1 storage, and onto archival tier 3 nearline storage, right? So it's a really low-cost storage option. It comes out to be about 1/10 of a cent per gigabyte per month service for archival. And so this storage is essentially backed by retrieval SLA. So if you ever need to retrieve your data, just like any other nearline, you have to restore that data, and that's backed by retrieval SLA. So if you want to retrieve it, I think they said it comes down to about 4 hours for retrieval time for any document that you want to bring back. So users access archive documents and data sets using standard industry standard APIs and integration through Oracle or third-party backup tools, right? So I also think of this as a tier 3 on-premise storage access as well. And then finally, we have elastic block storage, and this is block storage for traditional block access for either shared compute or dedicated compute. On this slide, this was important for me because it gave me a perspective of how we access this data, right? So there's 2 actions that we're defining here. One is that we've depicted here. One is the management interface, and that's done through a web browser. So for the management interface, what we're management access, what we're really doing is you can look at your account, look at what services you have. You can monitor your key storage metrics, your usage pattern. You can provide role-based access, do role management, and all that's done through a web-based graphical interface. Now, for your user or application access, now that's done all through RESTful calls. So your applications would access Oracle Storage Cloud programmatically using either like OpenStack, Swift, or compatible REST APIs or Java APIs, as I've shown here. But to get a kind of a better understanding of how this stuff all fits together, I think it's important to understand a little bit about background about object-based storage. which is the primary backing storage for file and archival storage services, right? So most cloud providers out there, AWS included, and I'm sure others, all use object-based storage. So what is object-based storage? So object storage is essentially where multiple storage nodes are formed to form a horizontally scalable pool where data is stored as objects. Think of it as blobs of data, if you will. So object storage providers provide a blend of performance, scalability, and manageability. So instead of organizing files like you do in a typical directory hierarchy, object storage systems store files in a flat organization of containers. So each object has data, metadata, and a unique ID, right? So applications that want to access this data access it using those unique IDs through REST APIs. And the best analogy I ever heard for object storage is really the comparison was between a valet parking, right? So when you go to a valet, you drop off your car, the valet gives you a receipt, and then you go back to the restaurant, but the valet parks it. You may park at different times, move the car around. But when you want to come back and get your car, you basically hand back the receipt. The receipt is mapped to a location and keys, right? So that's essentially how Oracle or any cloud object-based storage works, right? So a little background terminology. Object is mostly commonly created when you upload a file or create a file in object storage pool. Objects are created within a container. A container is used to create a resource, which can hold an unlimited number of objects, unless you put a quote on it. And finally, all objects or containers are created in the Oracle Store Cloud Service, and these are all replicated for high availability. Think of it as like high availability or triple redundancy in ASM, right? And it's triple mirrored. So that's how you access the data. Finally, common question that came up is like, once I allocate storage into cloud, how do I get cloud up there? How do I get my data up there, that is? So a couple of things are new, a couple of things are traditional as far as data transportability. So there's 4 different data transfer options for moving data into Oracle Cloud. One is RMAN, it's either an RMAN backup, RMAN data file copy, data pump transport, and 3 new things that are introduced is the physical delivery for really large amount of data. So Amazon also had this AWS where you get a big container that stores maybe a couple 100 terabytes of data. You get this box, you download your data, and then ship it back to Oracle, and they'll upload it and transfer the data. So it's really meant for bulk, multi-petabyte type of data. And then a couple of new other options that are introduced was SQL Developer has a lift and shift option. So if you have the latest version of SQL Developer, if you right-click on one of the databases that are on-premise, you can right-click on there and say transfer to the cloud, and that basically does a migration to your pre-provisioned storage pool that you defined. And finally, in 12.2, Larry did a demo on this at OpenWorld. 12.2 PDV has a online relocate functionality. You can even use that. In fact, that functionality is also built into SQL Developer. You can right-click on the PDV, and you can do an online relocate into the cloud. Finally, coming to Oracle network services, like I said, network connectivity is an essential part of any system or application. There's 3 ways to connect to Oracle Cloud. One is traditional, the other ones are new announcements. So starting out with secure SSH, you guys already know, for customers or users who are already using Oracle Cloud, secure SSH has been the standard way to connect into Oracle Cloud. But site-to-site VPN is something new, right? So a site-to-site is basically multi-site-to-site tunneling between different locations, typically for dedicated compute zones. Essentially uses IPsec tunneling between on-premise and Oracle Cloud. So obviously you get the encryption between these dedicated compute and on-premise, using 128-bit AES. But the VPN appliance that you use to tunnel is an Oracle-based solution, and that appliance is a VM, and it's clustered for high availability. So that's site-to-site VPN. The other new announcement was Fast Connect. So Fast Connect, what's different about this is with site-to-site VPN, the other traditional methods, you're basically going across to public internet. Now, sometimes it's not secure, sometimes it's slow. So Fast Connect is a way to go around and obviate the need for public internet access. So you're basically doing an on-prem edge network, which you're connecting to an Equinix. Equinix is required, so Equinix Cloud Exchange is required for full redundant connections. So it's a standard layer 3 connectivity. It supports 1 gig and 10 gig connectivity. So for those customers who are already subscribing to Equinix, Equinix provides virtualized private data connections that bypasses the internet to provide a better security and performance with a range of bandwidth options. So for those customers who are already using or who want to use a dedicated compute, that is, Fast Connect is a great option for that. And with that, I've covered my storage and network. I'm going to turn it over to Kai, I believe, right? Kai, it's over to you.
Yes, thank you, Nitin. Thank you, IOUG, for the opportunity to share some of the core experience. So I'll be covering database cloud and also the new feature called compute cloud service. So let's start with the database cloud. Go back, database cloud. Yeah, so Oracle provided 3 levels of the database cloud service in the public cloud. Starting with the very basic level, which is the database schema service. So if a customer selected that service, this kind of service, you'll be giving just one schema. So that you can use that to do some development, because they also provide Oracle Application Express for you to do the SQL or PSQL development. But you're not going to get DBA privilege, because Oracle will manage your database for you, because you only get one schema, and the schema only has about 5 gig, 20 gig, or 50 gig, but that's normally is enough for the application development. So if you want to get a next level for development as well as tested, and even production, you can get a database as a service. For that this level of service, you will be giving a virtual machine to run database instance, and you will have a full privilege of the virtual machine, such as the root user and the sysdba user. So you can manage your operating system. You also manage your database instance. Of course, you can do development. You also can even deploy production on a system, and you will manage your backup, restore. And you also have a full SQL privilege that you can actually connect your application to the database. And so this for some kind of like a small, medium kind of application, that's probably good enough. But if you really want to scale your database performance, you can use the Exadata as database service. In this case, you have all the feature that you get from database as service, but your application will be running on the world-class Exadata database machine to scale your performance. You can choose your database running on half rack or full rack. So, and you will get an enterprise edition database, and to scale the performance. So that's the 3 level, and of course you will get all the root access, sysdba access, because this you will be giving the virtual machine running on Exadata machine. So that's the 3 level of the database service. For future, Oracle will implement the Oracle managed database service. As we mentioned, database as a service, currently you will be doing the DBA work by yourself. But in the future, for future direction, Oracle will manage this for you. So that's kind of an outline of the 3 level of the database service offered in the public Oracle public cloud. So next slide. Okay, so announced in Oracle OpenWorld, Oracle will provide is already provided the compute cloud service. So basically, this is as part of infrastructure as a service. There will be 3 levels for you to choose depending on your business. So if you are the customer that you would like to get a certain number of CPU core paid by hours or monthly, you can select this something called the computer cloud service. And in the OpenWorld, they also refer this kind of elastic cloud service. So you will be giving fixed number of core, like 50 or 100 core, and with for your VM. So you can choose to run Linux or Windows on your VM. So you're going to bring you're going to run your own application on a VM. Can be database, can be middleware, can be other applications. You will get the image. And each VM, you have you'll be giving 1 to 2 terabyte as local storage for VM. But each VM can tie into 20 terabyte block storage. So that's typically if you use around Oracle database on VM. So you're going to have an Oracle Home loaded in a virtual machine, local disk, but you will have the database sitting stored in the block storage, and this 20 terabyte block storage is for that purpose. And this 25 block storage can be partitioned as a 10 persistent storage volume. So you can have a total 20 terabyte, but partition as 10 volumes. So everything will be running on a virtual machine, and you also can shut down or manage by yourself. So if you don't use that, you can delete your volume, delete your VM. But the volume itself will not be deleted unless you want to delete it. So you separate it. You delete virtual machine or delete VM. You separate it. You don't. When you delete VM, the volume will not be automatically deleted unless you manually delete it. So this is the first level. But for the customer that you really want to run your virtual machine in your isolated environment for performance reason or for whatever reason that you don't want to share with your neighbor in the same physical machine, you can ask for this called dedicated cloud compute. In this case, your VM, your application will running on dedicated physical machine. You're not going to share your CPU or any physical machine with any other application. So this physical machine will only run your application that includes network. So you have a full control. So the one advantage of this is because you don't share the physical hardware with any other application, so your performance will be protected because this only work for you. So that is the 2 level of the compute service. But if you also want to run an Exadata, next slide, you also can have an Exadata compute service. So in this case, you will be giving a quarter rack, 2-node quarter rack, and you will be giving the 28 OCPU. So let me explain what this OCPU is called. Oracle Oracle Computer Unit, so called OCPU. So OCPU equals to 1 physical core of a modern Intel Xeon processor with hyper-thread enabled. So means it's just like 1 physical CPU dedicated for you, but you also can add more based on demand. So we'll be giving the 480 memory, and you can use that to run the rack. And but this is by prescription base, so means you have to pay by usage. And so that's the Oracle Exadata as a cloud service. Then Oracle also provided other two compute service: the big data appliance and a big data cloud service. So Charles will provide more detail about these two services. So now I turn to Charles. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kai. So, Oracle also announced that there was a big adoption of customers embracing the database cloud.
Next slide.
They announced that in 2014, at the end of OpenWorld, October 2014, that they had 87 customers in the database cloud. And the numbers before OpenWorld 2015 is that they have now 2,259 customers in the database cloud. And so there's definitely a big, huge movement towards Oracle's database cloud offering. And so what do you really get if you move a database to Oracle Cloud, right? And this is something that Larry Ellison kind of played with a little bit, and he actually said magic happens. And internally, when you move a database from on-premise to Oracle Cloud, you automatically get compression by a factor of 10x. The database gets encrypted because ASO is enabled by default. You get in-memory database option, so you get enormous performance in your queries. You get multi-tenancy, and Oracle will automatically patch and upgrade the VM, the firmware, the database, and the OS for you. And obviously, Oracle will also do the backup for you as well. So there's tremendous benefits that you get by migrating your databases to Oracle Cloud. There was another keynote that I attended that was really exciting, and that was when Mark Hurd went through his 5 predictions for 2025. And we won't go through all of them, but there were some really interesting ones. He predicted that 80% of all production applications will be in the cloud by 2025. That's pretty astonishing. And he also announced that there will only be 2 suite providers who will own 80% of the SaaS market. And obviously, Oracle wants to be one of those 2. And another one that's really interesting is that he predicts that 100% of all development and test environments will be in the cloud. And so currently today, all the IT budget spends about 30% of their budget on development and test. And so it makes it really attractive from a cost perspective to move that workload to the cloud. Oracle also announced a new engineering system. You thought that, zero data loss recovery appliance, the name was wrong. The name for this new engineered system is called Oracle Private Cloud Machine for PaaS and IaaS. And Larry kind of joked around a little bit about how half of the reference manual is in the name itself for this appliance. And so the whole premise of this engineered system is that you will get on-premise the exact same software and hardware that Oracle uses on their public cloud. And so for more information, you can actually go to the link that's in the bottom of the screen. Oracle also announced that they're going to offer OEM in the cloud as well. And so another common theme that Oracle had was that everything that they do will be visible on a single pane of glass. And so now you can actually have OEM in the public cloud, but more importantly, they also announced that from OEM on-premise, right, you can actually monitor your databases and your servers in the cloud as well. And so you can leverage your same, OEM architects and expertise. You can send all your alerts to the same network operations center, and the same OEM that you manage and monitor your on-prem databases, you can monitor your public databases as well. And for smaller companies, right, they can get instant OEM set up in the cloud and monitor and manage their cloud databases as well.
Charles?
Yes?
I think there's some additional detail here that might be helpful. I know that IOUG also has an Enterprise Manager SIG. So as we mentioned earlier, when I was giving a little bit more background on the Oracle Management Cloud, which is a separate offering only available from the Oracle Cloud, Enterprise Manager, as of Release 5, has hybrid cloud abilities. So for the DBAs who now are having databases deployed into the Oracle Cloud, that could be by their developers, that could be by themselves using the database services, for instance, that Kai was talking about, they're able to have, as you described, that single pane of glass so that they're able to monitor, manage their databases that are not only on-premise, but also in the cloud. And this kind of brings together kind of a new paradigm in that I heard a few people kind of confusing Oracle Management Cloud with Enterprise Manager, and they're distinct, actually, offerings. And I just wanted to make sure folks didn't think necessarily that Oracle Management Cloud was Enterprise Manager in the cloud, because I did have a few people kind of mention that while I was at OpenWorld.
Okay. Thanks for that insight, Steve.
You're welcome.
Also, Oracle announced the Identity Management Cloud Service, and this is where you can have your on-premise identity management link with the central identity management that Oracle uses for all of their products. And so now, with a single Active Directory or LDAP from on-premise, as you remove let's say an employee that is no longer with a company, his or her access on the cloud will also be removed as well. And so now you can coexist your identity management that you have on-premise with the identity management that's available in the cloud. And so now I'm going to start talking about the big data cloud services that were announced. And this is something that a lot of customers have been waiting for, and a lot of customers have actually asked for Oracle to provide big data in the cloud. And to start off, we're going to talk about the Big Data Cloud Service. And with the Big Data Cloud Service, you're essentially getting a big data appliance, a BDA, and with it you get all the traditional services that comes with the BDA. You get the Cloudera Enterprise, you get the SQL database, you get the big data connectors and the spatial and graphing options, and you also get the database cloud service integration as well. And so when you sign up for the Big Data Cloud Service, you subscribe to a starter pack, and that starter pack gets you 6 nodes. And if you need more than that, you can ask for the expansion packs. And with the Big Data Cloud Service, if you also have the Exadata Cloud Service, right, the Big Data connectors can deliver 15 terabytes of data between the Big Data appliance and the Exadata. And also they have full, security in mind as well. They use Apache Sentry to authorize SQL access for tools like Hive and Impala, and they have Kerberos for the back-end security as well, and everything is backed by a 40 gig InfiniBand fabric. Oracle also introduced the big data visualization, discovery, and preparation. And so I'm going to start with a data visualization, which is, I'm sorry, it wasn't a big data visualization, but it's a data visualization. And this is where Thomas Kurian, as he introduced this, used a business user, in particular an HR administrator who wanted to look into attrition data and wanted to match that with compensation and look at also which department had issues with attrition. And the whole idea here is that with a single browser, all you need is a browser, and you upload, a spreadsheet or a flat file to Oracle's cloud, and you get nice visualization and analytical functions, and you can take your data and create instant reports that you can use. And so the idea here is that you may not have access to your corporate data warehouse, but the data that you want to look at is sensitive, and so you want to keep that contained within your own organization. And so they introduced data visualization. They also introduced big data preparation cloud services. And what this is that it gives you the capability to have Oracle Cloud be your ETL. And so it's basically ETL in the cloud services, and its ability so that you can actually take large volumes of structured data, unstructured data, and Oracle provides you the algorithms for machine learning and semantic recognition to be able to build aggregates of data. And so you can publish them to your databases or to other analytical tools, right? And you can do data wrangling. And the whole idea is that Oracle provides you the capabilities to pre-process your data so you can stage it for future use. Oracle also provides a new service called Data Discovery Cloud Service, and both of the data discovery and the data preparation is not available yet, but it will be available in the future. And this is mainly for business users who want to do analysis with their data in Hadoop. They want to collaborate on their data with data scientists, and they want a visual analytical interface to explore and build data sets in Hadoop. And so, again, everything that you do here, all you need is a browser, and it's geared at business users instead of the data scientists. And so the whole idea is for the business users to go have a conduit to be able to look at the data and to have a data set so they can do further analysis. And so Oracle's also announced NoSQL. That's coming in 2016. And like I said before, the only reason why we're covering the new features of big data is because the big data, it will be an integral part of data integration between Oracle and Hadoop, and our SIG is just going to bring awareness that as we talk about database as a service, eventually all that's going to lead into the integration between DBaaS and Hadoop as a service. And without further ado, there was a lot of information that we had to digest, and and some of the information that was presented at OpenWorld, if you just caught bits and pieces of it, it could be confusing if you don't have the whole story. And so, join the Cloud Computing SIG, for more details. We'll also provide, a lot more information about, changes to Oracle announcements and PaaS and infrastructure as a service. Obviously, a lot of this information, is announced, and some of them is not quite ready yet. And so, as Oracle gets it ready for general availability, right, some of the features and options may change. And so, stay tuned for our Cloud SIG, and we'll disseminate all that to you. And also, there was quite a bit of 12.2 announcements that they had in OpenWorld that we wish we could have presented at today's webinar, but we just didn't have enough time, and we'll provide all of that stuff in our Cloud SIG landing pages as well. And so, after that, we'll take questions now.
Thanks, Charles, and this is Tricia again. I'm just asking the audience, I'm sending through a few links that may help with additional information, but this presentation in particular was recorded, and we will archive it in the SIG community, but also on our IOUG website, so take a look there. But like I said, I'm just sending through a few more links. And then my final note is, in order to continue to provide programming for you all, we have a survey really short that you can fill out for us when you exit the webinar. The results get pushed back to Charles and his leadership team to help with future programming and to let them know how you felt this webinar went. But Charles, I don't see any questions from the audience. If you do have questions, I know this was a lot, as Charles had said, to digest, and if you have questions later on, just send them to speakers@ioug.org, and we'll translate them back to Charles and his team, and we can get you the answers, no problem. So any final comments from our speakers?
Hey, Charles.
Yes.
While we're waiting for possibly some questions to come in, mind if I put you gentlemen on the spot? Since each of you had a place you were at during Oracle OpenWorld, and I'm sure you pretty much weren't all together. If you had to say for yourself and your role within the user community as well as your job, what was probably the top thing that really kind of stood out in your mind? It could be a, wow, I didn't know that, or wow, this is going to be revolutionary, as something that a member may want to go learn a little bit more, because we know they're very busy in their daily jobs, but so something possibly doesn't come from behind and catch them off guard, or something that can make their life so much easier. You probably get the idea, one of those things. But since there were so many technology announcements this year at OpenWorld.
Yeah, one particular thing that really struck with me was that when Oracle announced dedicated compute services, and we have so many of our customers who are fearful about embracing Oracle Public Cloud, that with dedicated cloud compute plus the ability to isolate with Fast Connect and have direct connectivity from their data center to Oracle's data center, and have dedicated compute and storage, right? That's huge.
Okay, that's a nice standout there from your perspective. Kai, how about yourself?
Yes, one feature that I was really amazed was the Oracle Management Cloud Service, so that you actually can use an Oracle Enterprise Manager to manage the application from both directions. You can manage it, run Enterprise Manager from a cloud to manage your own application on premises, or you can do other direction. So that's something that really amazed me. So, and yeah,
another one. Okay.
Another thing I found was even I was in OpenWorld. That was my 10th OpenWorld. I found that this OpenWorld got so much more information than previous one, and I tried to scrambling together all information, but I think still when I got back, I found I went back to review the keynotes, and also went to the catalog, download a lot of the presentation. I found them. There's a lot of things to catch up. Even I was there and attended a lot of sessions, but come back to review it, still refresh memory. I learned a lot of new things, and even for those sessions I attended, I found that reading the slide again really, refresh, also learn a lot more than I could during the OpenWorld. So come back and read more, and really helpful.
Thank you, Kai. And Nitin, how about yourself?
Yeah, since Charles stole mine, I guess my second would be, since I come from the infrastructure world, I thought that the Fast Connect was an interesting new announcement. This is basically a Fast Connect connectivity from on-premise to the Oracle Cloud, and it was much needed. So that would be my vote for that.
Well, great. I think everyone had definitely a perspective with so many different venues hosting so many different sessions, with so many different announcements. I'm sure members will be looking forward to the future webcast that the SIG is doing, and you've got, as you mentioned at the beginning, it sounds like some pretty big plans for collaborate as well. So I would just check and see if any of those questions came in, and back over to you, Charles.
I can step in here. No questions that I see, but again, our channels are always open. Feel free to send us them at any time. So I hope this was valuable to you all. Hope you it was a good either review, preview, or a plethora of new information. So with that, I wish you all a good rest of your day, and welcome you to our future webinars. Hope to see you again. Thank you.